Finally, the touch has come back to the weekly recap video. Hey everyone, sorry about last week again. Everything's great, everything's fine, like really good actually. So I'm sure y'all find out at some point what's going on. So it's all good, don't worry. Just for now though, it's great to be back, and good to be back here doing what I love to do. And so here it is, your Week 10 Rip City Fantasy Football League recap. But don't call it a comeback, I've been here for years, and now with my 6th win in a row, I have an 8-2 record and a stranglehold on first place in our league. That's right, thanks to my 122.06 to 100.68 victory over Ken. I had to break out the big guns for this one, as Shepard went off like a Sterling submachine gun, but it was the 22 from my AK that got the job done. That's 22.3 fantasy points from Alvin Kamara, blasting fools with precision with his 106 rushing yards and a touchdown, shotgunning 5 catches for 32 yards, giving my team the proper bang it needed to beat Ken, who moves down to 5th place with a 5-5 record. So this week's Squeak of the Week wasn't quite as dramatic as it's been recently, but it was still a close call, as Relax finally broke their losing streak, stopping the bleeding with a 119.26 to 112.84 win over Demolition. That's just a 6.37 fantasy point margin of victory. Legatron kicked in 17 fantasy points, but it was Super Mario who was no shy guy, stomping Goombas and throwing Bob bombs on his way to 264 passing yards with a passing touchdown and 51 rushing yards, making the Bengals defense look like a bunch of charging chucks. He was the superstar, powering up Vinny and Marissa's team this week, helping them make the jump to 5-5, but still only good enough for 7th place. Randy stays in 9th place at 3-7. And the man, Tecmo Stan, has climbed up to 4th place with his 3rd straight win, picking up a close victory over the champ, Dak to the Future 144.22 to 128.34. AJ was bringing in the big green with 27 fantasy points, but DeMarco was your Don Juan this week, romancing your lineup with 27.2 fantasy points, seducing the Bengals D with 42 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns, adding some love with 4 receptions for 30 yards and a 3rd touchdown. He's no Johnny Depp, but he was hot this week, and that's no delusion of grandeur. Stan climbs his way to a 6-4 record, and Reichel stays in 2nd place at 6-4. And from a 3rd straight win to a 3rd straight loss, as Los Lobos handed yet another defeat to Aaron's Bitch in a high-scoring shootout, 158.64 to 136.58, with some big performances from Mr. Bunchen, Golden Taint, and the Rams D. But Anthony was hooked on a Thielen this week. Adam Thielen, who put up 26.6 fantasy points, catching all the good love with 8 receptions for 166 yards and a touch. Ooga chaka. They couldn't stop this Thielen, and Anthony's high on believing with his record moving up to 5-5 in 6th place. Sakina's record goes down to 6-4, but she stays in 3rd place. Last week, Tracy beat Randy in the Toilet Bowl, but this week in the Toilet Bowl, Tracy gets the blowout of the week. Toilet humor. Aren't you glad I'm back? She got the 130.36 to 52.3 fantasy point win, pulling off a 78.06 margin of victory on her bukkake bite, leaving that crappy team to waste. She sits gallantly atop the porcelain throne for the 2nd week in a row, as she's starting to wipe up the mess her poopy team has left her in, thanks to relieving efforts from Mark Ingram.
Oh, hi, Mark.
And Cam Newton, who had 35.66 fantasy points, exploding for 254 passing yards and 4 touchdowns. he had a case of the trots as well, trotting in 95 rushing yards, sealing the win for Team Hell Yes, moving her up to 3-6 in 8th place. Bukkake goes down the hopper, of course, in 10th place because, well, he's just a big blue waffle. Well, that's it for the recaps this week. Sorry that this video is a little bit later than usual, but I have my reasons because we've now come to everyone's favorite part of the show, and because you were so patient, I was able to bring a special guest to help me in this week. So please welcome my son, Trevin.
Thanks for that introduction, Dad.
Ready, son?
Ready, Dad.
All right. Because now we've come to the part of the show where we review those fantasy points you forgot to start.
That's right. We now take the time to salute the players on your pine.
Piling up fantasy points you'd rather have in your starting lineup in a segment we like to call On Your Bench! Let's see. Well, my 6th win in a row was sweet, but it could have been sweeter had I started the right tight end.
Just like all those grocery stores and shopping malls, you're celebrating Christmas too early, Dad.
That's right, son, because I brought out Rudolph the Red Zone Reindeer too soon this year.
Duh, Dad. Everyone knows Rudolph does his best work in December.
That's true. I should have gone with Evan Ingram, because his 12.1 fantasy points would have decorated my lineup nicely. So I'll just pack away the Red Zone Reindeer for now and wait until December. And in the meantime, I'll have Double E in my lineup instead of letting him wait till Christmas.
On your bench! I've always wanted to say that.
Los Lobos left the most points on his pine this week, but he got the win, so screw it. Let's just poke fun at him anyway.
Yeah, because he went to Tom for his QB, but you know what he should have done?
He should have gone to Jared. That's right. You should have gone to your diamond in the rough, Jared Goff, who was a gem this week, shining with much luster and showing his brilliance with a second straight 30-plus fantasy point total.
Goff was on fire and would have put in a nice cut with 32.5 fantasy points.
Yup, and that would have made the difference between 5th and 6th place. Jared Goff could have been your crown jewel this week, but instead he was just a blemish on your bench!
I can't believe you're making me say these dad jokes.
Sorry. Moving along. Hey Stan, you started Russell Wilson on the road against a good defense and division rival, while leaving Detroit's Matthew Stafford in your reserves with a matchup at home against the Browns? What were you thinking, man? Stafford would have had the lion's share of the fantasy points on your team.
Yeah, he would have been your main man. And wait a minute. Lion puns? Really? Are you kidding me, Dad?
No, son, I'm not lying.
That's it. You're on your own.
No,
Goodbye.
come on! Come on, son, you're hurting my pride.
No, god dang it, that's enough. Stop it.
Okay, alright. Well, Stan, you got the win, but your team could have really roared this week. But you left the Lions QB and his 28.66 fantasy points lying around on your bench! Come on, son, come back for the last segment.
No more lion jokes.
No more lion jokes. Because we're moving on to the On Your Bench All-Star of the Week. Back to the Future, Reichel, you're still in second, but you could have gotten the win this week.
Yeah, because Bilal Powell, BP, had a bad spill, fumbling the football and a disaster of a game with 2.1 fantasy points. What a mess.
Yuck. And Dion Lewis would have cleaned that up with 17.5 fantasy points had you started him, and that would have been enough for the win.
BP was toxic for your team, just like the oil company BP is toxic for the environment.
Yeah, so you should dump him instead of wasting Dion Lewis on your bench! Alright, son, well, thank you so much for helping me out with that this week.
You're welcome, Dad. Hey, but next time, less dad puns.
Okay, alright. Alright, so that's it this week. Hope you enjoyed that, and a special thanks to my son for helping me out with the On Your Bench segment this week.
You're welcome.
And yeah, just don't forget to set your lineups, make trades, hit up the waiver wires, whatever you got to do to get those W's. We'll see you again next week. And oh yeah, Randy, Demolition, I've got something brewing for you. So stay tuned.